Hello and welcome back to another Now That's Debatable. I am Sidney Smith with my brother to my side there, Mr. Dion Curry, my co-host. Thank you guys for jumping in here with us another week. We are back, Now That's Debatable. If you've never been with us before, if this is your first time, we do appreciate having you. If you've been here often, we appreciate having you too. Shout out to all our folks on Patreon who, as I say, each and every week help us keep the lights on. Shout out to everybody who's watching us on Facebook live tonight and everybody who watches us on YouTube live and watches the videos throughout the week as well. We appreciate you. Your numbers do not go unnoticed. Much love to the folks who've been tracking and keeping up with us on Apple Podcasts, iHeart, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, all of those different apps out there that you may be using to listen to us this week and every week. We appreciate you. I see Kathleen K, one of our master debaters, is already jumping in with us. Also, want to throw a quick reminder. You'll see it scrolling at the bottom. But if you want to become a Patreon and help support the show outside of just with your eyeballs, we would appreciate it. $1 gets you in as a Patreon member. We would love that. So just go to SydneySmith.com, go to the Patreon button, click that, and go ahead and sign up to donate $1 a month. $1 a month, that's it. And you become a Patreon
Sydney
member.
Smith
So
Creative.
thank you. Sydney Smith Creative. He's right. Sydney Smith Creative. CRE, the number 8, TIV.com. SydneySmithCreative.com. And then click that Patreon button. So, again, you guys see that scrolling at the bottom. So, we had a big loss to the family here a few days ago. So, Tony Mack, some of you may be aware of him. You may have seen him chiming in with some snide comments and some smart ass comments for us. And then sometimes just giving some wisdom to the show as well. I know how I felt about him, but I'm going to get out the way. Warren, just so everybody knows, we invited Warren B. Hall to be here. He's off on another cruise. I'm going to say he's in Alaska performing, so he could not be here with us. He and Tony go way back a lot of years. That was his best friend, so we definitely wanted him here with you all to show his love and what Tony meant to him. He was not able to be here because of his schedule and where he is. But Dion goes even further back with Tony Mack, and I wanted to make room for Dion to kind of say what he felt. Also, we want to make room for all of you to show your love as you will, I'm sure, to Dion. But if there's anything you want to express about anyone you've lost as well, we would love to hear about it. You know, we've lost a lot of people since COVID, before COVID, but especially since COVID leading up to right now. So maybe you have something that's weighing on your heart about someone that you've lost recently within the last few years. We would love for you to share that with us as well. So that door is open. But Dion, I want to step out the way and make room for you.
This is how great of a guy Tony Mack was. Warren and I were best friends until Warren met Tony. And then Tony took my spot as Warren's best friend. And in the beginning, I felt some type of way about that. But now that Tony has passed, I unequivocally understand that's how great of a guy Tony Mack was. I've known Warren for 18 years. Tony knew Warren for significantly less time. But Warren recognized how great of a guy Tony was. And he is the type of human that every other human needs in their life. He was the epitome of a great person. He was a genuine person. He was a loyal person. He was an incredibly fun person. He's somebody who dealt with health issues his entire life, and not one time, and I mean not one time, did I ever hear him complain about his plot in life. He was the type of dude that he wouldn't let you know the struggle that he was going through. He would smile. He would make sure you were okay. Tony's the type of guy who, if it was cold outside and you had a shirt, but it wasn't warm enough, he'd take off his shirt and freeze just so that you could have an extra layer of comfort. He was the best kind of human that I ever met, and I feel like the world is a lot worse off that he's not here. I had known Tony maybe 2 or 3 months, and it was after a comedy show. These two women got stranded by their dates. The guys weren't feeling them, and so I was like, "That's kind of shitty. I'll give these ladies a ride home." Right? These ladies did not live close to the comedy club. They couldn't afford a taxi. This was back when I was a more generous person than I am today. I was like, I'll give you ladies a ride. So I give these ladies a ride. They live in a shitty part of town where the roads are terrible. And I blow a tire on my way back from dropping them off. And it's like 1:30 in the morning. And I called Tony Mack. And I hadn't known him that long. He's like, make sure you hit me up when you get home so I know you got home safe. And I call him. I'm like, look, man, I was driving home, blew a tire. Do you have AAA or know anybody with AAA? Because all my friends are asleep. And he's like, don't worry about AAA. I'll come and get you. Tony came out, helped me change my tire, and got me back to the crib. And he hadn't known me for a couple of months. It's not like we, knew each other's backstories. It's not like we were best friends. He was, just a guy that I had met in the comedy scene. And from that moment on, I've always felt like he was a brother to me. He's always exhibited um, brotherhood with me, and just when I found out that he passed, I just I knew he was sick, but I didn't realize how sick he was. I saw him the week after St. Patrick's Day with Kevin Bozeman. He came out, and I could tell he wasn't um, his usual self. I could tell that his health was bothering him because he wasn't as vibrant as he usually was. And if anybody's ever met Tony Mack, that guy could light up a room just by being in it. He didn't have to say anything. He just had this big presence about him, this angelic energy that made everybody want to listen to him talk and be his friend. And I think back to that night and how I was tired and I was ready to go home after doing shows, and I opted to not hang out with him that evening. And it's one of the things I'll regret for the rest of my life, um, because I never got to see him again. And I love that dude because he was a good person. It wasn't what he could do for me. It wasn't what I could do for him. It was just a genuine type of care. The man really, really cared about the people he cared about, and he went out of his way to show it. He's one of the only black people I know who ate pretzels. Just funny little things. I remember going over his house one time. It was the first time I met his mother. We were stopping by the house to pick up something. He's like, "Why don't you just come in and meet my mom real quick while I go change?" And we were gonna go back out. And I was like, "All right, I'll come in." And we go in, and we we did not plan on having dinner. We were just gonna go in so Tony could change, grab some stuff, and then we were gonna go back out. We ended up having dinner. His mom was just the sweetest, most loving. Like, she treated me like I was her own son. And I see where Tony got that from. And unfortunately, his mother passed before he did. And I was really able to see that angelic quality that he got from her in her. She, you know, both Tony's parents were amazing people. And Tony is, like I said earlier, just the type of guy that if you met him, you loved him because he was genuine. He was incredibly kind. I don't know anybody who had anything negative to say about Tony. And even if Tony didn't rock with you, like if Tony felt that your energy was off, he never expressed that in a manner that would make it seem to the person who didn't know, who he didn't rock with, that they were a bad human being. He would just be like, that's not how I move. You can make your own decisions. He would never let people's reputation precede them, if that makes sense. Like, he would never color your opinion of someone that you hadn't met based off his experience. He would just say, these are the facts, do with it as you will. And he was an incredible judge of character. So anybody that had a problem with Tony Mack, I would not want to have any interactions with, because like I said, he was the type of dude that everybody just genuinely loved. He always talked about getting back on stage. So, so Tony dabbled in stand up, if you will. You know, Tony was a lot like how black people are when they at the pool. Like, oh, let me see how cold this water is. You dip your toe in, and if you don't like it, it's not for you. So you just sit on the edge of the pool, and you might put your feet in and try, wait for the water to be acclimated to the rest of your body. Tony's stand-up career was like that, where he dabbled a couple of times. He always said he was going to get back on stage, but he never, he never quite did. But he was just a magical human being, and I, I'm gonna cry if I keep going. So I'm trying my best not to do that, because I've cried a lot over the past few days. There's been a lot of loss in my life over this past year, and Tony's and Daryl Lennox's were really unexpected. Um, so just I always, my wait one more things have been to show people that you love them and that you care about them. Um, and I know I'm doing that out of turn here, but just for everybody that's watching and listening to my voice, if you have got somebody in your life that means something to you, make sure you let them know how they feel. I regret not being able to tell Tony Mack exactly how I felt about him. Um, he knew that I loved him, but I don't think he knew the extent to which I loved him, and that's another thing that I'll regret now that he's no longer here. So just tell your people you love them when you can. Show them that it doesn't have to be anything major or anything out of the ordinary, but just you know give them give them the truth of how you feel about them. I think that's important.
Well said. Well said. All right. Again, we're here for it. If anyone out there wants to share anything, we don't mean to start the show off in this manner. Normally, we would probably do something like this towards the end for anyone else. But Tony Mack did mean a lot to all three of us, Warren, Dion, and to myself. And so I thought it was only right to make sure we started the show off with Tony Mack. He wasn't last on anyone's list, definitely not on the three of ours. So wanted to lead off the show with him, and I'm glad Dion found it within himself the composure to be able to do that. So I love you, brother. We love all of you guys, and thank you guys for joining us again. Because we don't do commercials, I don't know how to segue into this any better than what I
before
do.
before before we before we segue, I just want to say I love you too, brother. I love all our master debaters, and I appreciate you guys. And I'm not a very religious person, but if there is a heaven, which Tony Mack believed there was, I have no doubt in my heart that he is up there with his parents right now. So that's been the only saving grace for making me completely go off the deep end, is knowing that in his heart he believed in a religion that rewarded him for his angelic qualities, and I have no doubt that if there is such a place, he's up there. So uh, that is the little bit of solace that I get in his passing.
This would normally be if this was a show on network television, where they would slowly fade a picture of Tony Mack up with his dates, and then they would just quietly go to commercial and play like a Tenactin commercial or something, and then we would
This is 1994.
we, we would come back. But you know about Tony Mack though, you're right, and for people out there who never got a chance to meet him, that dude, like we all know this, like I've only known a few people in my life, and I told Dion this. This is the person that, and we all know someone like this. This is the person that when they pass, no matter what age, everybody shows up to show respect and love for that person. Everybody who had beef with one another, they put that shit aside for it. It's like when the Crips and the Bloods just had a truce. Everyone puts a truce on all beefs. I don't care how long you've been beefing. So you can come and have it. Everyone can have a peaceful day and just laugh and have the memories and share those memories, whatever memories you have with one another freely and openly. And then, once the day is over, you can go back to hating each other. I've only known a few people who are like that. And Tony Mac's one of those guys. And Dion does not overstate it. This is a guy that I like this joke and say this about myself, though I don't fully believe it. But Tony Mac is one of those people. If you had a beef with Tony Mac, there's probably something wrong with you. Some way, somehow, you're probably fucked up because you got to go out of your way to have a problem with that light skinned dude. And no matter how much I told that dude, light skinned dudes was never coming back in style. He never gave up the faith. He always thought he was gonna come back. Always make a comeback. All right, I love you, Tony, man. I'm gonna miss you, brother. All right, again, I don't have a good way to segue. So thank you guys for watching and being with us. I will roll through some of the comments real quick because you guys are so kind before we move to our next segment. Kathleen K says, "Hey fellas, what's up, Kathleen? Thank you for joining us. We appreciate you." Marissa is with us. She says hi. Roxy says hi. Mary says hi, guys. Lotus says hey. Danielle says, "Hi guys, I have missed you. We missed you, Danielle. You thought you was
Welcome
too good
back.
for us for a while." Mary says, "Very sorry." And Danielle just had a birthday, so happy belated birthday. I mean, I wished her a happy birthday, but for those of you who didn't know, Danielle Marie just had a birthday. Danielle, sorry, I normally would have thrown it up in the group. Dion would have thrown it up in the group, but Tony Mack and all. So I think we both kind of probably missed that. But I did text her, so but happy belated birthday for everyone else. Mary Bella says, "Very sorry for your loss of your friend." David says, "Sending condolences and prayers." Danielle says, "So sorry that you guys lost such a good friend." Kathleen K says, "I just want to say tons of love to you guys. Dion's had so much loss in the last 12 months. Big, big hugs." Absolutely. Kathleen, you make it to the wall first with that one. Marissa says, "I'm so sorry to hear about your loss, guys. Thank you. So sorry for your loss." Comes from Lotus. "Oh my God, Dion, loving you even more than before." I'm assuming that's Chelsea, but I'm not sure. He just
That's
says Facebook
Joanne.
user Joanna. Okay. Roxy says, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Thank you on behalf of Dion to both you guys." And then Jessica Lee Taylor says, "Love you, D." So a lot of that out to you, Dion.
I just want to say, yes, I lost Tony Mack, but we all lost Tony Mack. He was friends with you guys, even if you hadn't met him. That's just how much of an incredible person he was. So I can't state this enough that it's not just mine and Sydney's and Warren's, it's the entire world. He was that. If you if you looked up the textbook dictionary definition of a friend, there should be a picture of Tony Mack. I mean, he was that type of person. And to complete strangers, like I said, when I first met Tony, he didn't have to come and help me change my tire at 2 o'clock, 1:30 in the morning. But he was that type of person that if he, for whatever reason, felt like you deserved or you needed a friend, he would be that for you. And so, not just me, not just Sydney, not just Warren, but the group and the world as a whole, we all lost. And I know a lot of you guys didn't know him, but I'm telling you, he would have been the friend you would if you met him. You would be saying the exact same things I'm saying about him if you knew him, because he was just that type of a good person. So I really do appreciate everybody sending love, but I have to put that caveat that it's not just me. We all
Angel.
that now that is Chelsea. So
Not
you got him
look,
backwards, but
look, y'all get in order here. Chelsea, you just made the wall with that one. That was a Michelle Nagata says, "R.I.P. Tony Mack." Mary Ballard says, "Happy birthday, Danielle." Miss Susie, what's up, Miss Susie? Says, so sorry. I know the three of you were so touched by him. Sending hugs." And then Danielle Marie says, "There are no strangers here, only friends we haven't met yet. Thank you guys for sharing such a tribute to his legacy." And thank all of you. Now we are going to move on before I do cry. So I'm trying to hold it together, people. And you guys between that and Dion and the stories. I do want to say this, and then we are moving on. Dion, that story was the first story you shared with me about Tony. And I think I said it then, and I'll say it again. That is such a huge story because a lot of us know people you couldn't call at any time of the day to come help you change your tire at all. So to know someone only for a couple of months, if it was that long as you said, and this dude would don't worry about AAA because that's what people would do. You have insurance, you have AAA, you have that protection, you got toll, all of that. And for this guy to say no, I mean, just shows you that not a huge act, but just that simple friendly act shows what type of person he was. All right. Thank you all. Appreciate you. Hopefully, you guys stay with us for the rest of the show. We got a good one, I think, for you all. For the last week, Miss Ebony K. Williams with the Griot, and she's a lawyer as well, and some other things under her belt. But she interviewed the very wonderful and kind and wise and soft spoken Iyanla Van Zandt. I never say her name right. I hope if I ever meet her, I have this nailed down. But she had her on her show recently, and they were speaking about dating and different types of men. And Miss Van Zandt asked her if she would date a bus driver, and frankly, the look on Ebony's face, she looked rather appalled that she would even ask her such a question. Almost as if, have you not seen my resume in a certain way? Ah, thank you, Michelle. She said she's also a former housewife of New York. That explains even more for me, Michelle. But she had such a look at her face while she paused to answer this question, and she said, if he owned the bus. And Miss Van Zant tried to give her some of that wisdom that I would hope that all of us would be able to get. Actually, some of the wisdom I wish that someone was giving some of these Instagram models and TikTok dancers, which was, hey, maybe he doesn't. And I'm paraphrasing, maybe he doesn't own the bus. But how does he treat his mama? Is he a good man? Is he an honest man? So on and so forth. Which wasn't enough. She is going down to double down on that statement Ebony K. Williams has. The reason we're talking about this is because of the video that I put up in the group and on my page. I think I tagged Dion to it as well, where she went onto the Breakfast Club here just yesterday, I believe, and tripled down on it. And it so upset me, I said, we must talk about Ebony K. Williams because I'm irritated. Dion, I will let you take it from here, and then folks expect for me to yell a little bit at some point.
Well, I watched the Breakfast Club clip first that you sent me. I had seen like snippets of it, like 5 or 6 minutes of it, but the thing you sent me was the entirety of the Breakfast Club interview. And then I went back and watched the Ebony and Yala interview. And what really kind of stood out to me, not knowing Ebony K from anything. I've heard of Inyala before. I've heard of the Breakfast Club, but I never heard of this Ebony Williams person. So I don't know anything about her other than those two interviews that I watched. But what really stood out to me, I should say, was her attitude towards the quote unquote average person. And I think what really gets conflated in the dating marketplace is what somebody brings to the table as far as a financial um, landing place where your finances, no one wants to be with somebody who's broke, right? Nobody, if you're making a certain amount of money, you don't want your partner to cause you to lose access to what you're accustomed to, right? I completely understand that. But what I think is lost in translation is that when you reach a certain level, the people on that level aren't necessarily looking for the exact same thing you are. And that's where the struggle comes in. Where your average man who drives a bus and treats his mama good and is a decent humankind person who doesn't have ambition to own an entire bus company, should that exclude him from a woman of Ebony's caliber? In her mind, yes. If you're not trying to move up to the next level, she has no use for you. And if she has no use for you, it doesn't matter how good of a man you're going to be. That's just not what she wants. Now, there'll come a point in time in her life, probably, me speculating, that she will learn, unfortunately too late, that not having a good partner based off his financial or her financial situation is kind of stupid because in the long run, money is earned and burned just like that. So Finding somebody who cares about you, who will be there for you if you get sick or hurt or injured, and that loves you for who you are as a human and not a potential earner is the most important thing. And I hear it all the time. Modern dating is completely different than it was, say, 20, 30 years ago. I wasn't dating then, so I can't really speak to it. But I know for a fact that a lot of women go on first dates just to eat and then have no intentions of being with that guy. And a lot of men go on dates with women expecting to have sex, and then that's just the end of it. And so it's this battle that we're going back and forth with is who's trying to who can score first. Can I get this free dinner or can I get this coochie before we part ways? And it. I'm 38. I'm single. I don't fucking know.
Look, I have a lot of problems with what she said during the interview, during the initial interview, for a lot of different reasons, and we'll get into that. But the first thing I want to talk about is on the Breakfast Club. Look, if you're going to say it, stand by it. Don't get on the Breakfast Club because you want to hawk your book that you got propped up there. Most of the time, people got the book off to the side. She got the book almost covering one titty. It's so close to make sure it's in the shot. Because you want to hawk this book. Stand by it. If you are a hoe who only wants some man who has X amount of dollars, then fine. Stand by it. Don't get up here like you're a politician because then DJ Envy is calling your ass to the carpet. And I was very, very little disappointed in Charlamagne. I'm going to assume Charlamagne's closer to her than DJ Envy is because Charlamagne is more normally the main one trying to stir some shit up. Normally. I don't know, he's got this different take he took that on this particular interview. But stand by what you said. Don't start throwing me all these facts and figures and acting like you're worried about black people coming up in America and all these different things. And my mama, when she started with the my mama used to be and my mama worked her way up from here and then my mama opened up this and then she had a fleet of trucks, I thought she was getting a stump speech somewhere in Iowa getting ready to fucking run for the president of the United States. Get the fuck out of here. Your main point was if a man does not have X amount of dollars in his pocket, in his bank account, he can't come next to you. Even if he's a good man, even if he's a man who loves his mama. See, that's why I said some of these young girls need to get with some of these old heads so they can teach them how to pick a man. And one of the things the old heads would tell these young broads was, how does that man treat his mama? And if he has any sisters, how does that man treat his sisters? Because that will dictate to you how that man will treat you. But see, she can't hear that. Because the only thing she can hear, the only thing she can see is dollar signs. Stand by it. That is my biggest problem with any of these, and men can be it too, but we talking about bitches right now. That's my main problem with these hoes out here, including Ebony K. Williams. She might as well be one of these stupid ass 20-some-year-olds on IG that I see on the IG reels. I think any man that wants to be with me, he needs to make at least $300,000 to $400,000. Well, what is it that you have to offer? What are you gonna do? Well, nothing. Well, nothing. Let me tell you something, Ebony K. Williams, and any other woman out there that sees this video later on YouTube or wherever you find it. The higher the cost you want from that man, the higher the cost you gonna have to pay. You understand me? Ain't no man making six figures and high six figures. Ebony ain't even cute. So you best believe your skills you bring in the kitchen or the bedroom better be nice, son. You hear me, son? Nice. The bigger the wallet, the bigger your skill set better be. I know dudes who make that kind of bread. And you know what the one thing them dudes have in common? They don't have just one of you. So if you're looking for one who's going to be stuck with just one of you, you got another thing coming. You know why he doesn't? Because he has options. You know why he has options? Because he makes high six figures. Get your head out your ass, lady Ebony K. Williams, and any other young girl who wants to speak like that. You better find an older woman to sit down like Miss Susie sit on her knee and let her teacher ask something. Because you sound like a motherfucking fool who ain't worth anything more than what's between your legs. Pick the quarter up off the ground, put it back between your knees, read a book, and find a man who's gonna treat you the way he treats his goddamn mama. You a silly hoe otherwise.
Wow. uh, now, normally, I would be inclined to agree with you. Here's the only thing I'll say. Don't pick a man based on how he treats his mom. Okay, that how a man treats his mother has nothing to do with who he is
Are
as a
you
person.
are
You
you
gotta
are you are
oh
you
let me
oh my
finish.
god.
Let me finish. I do not have a good relationship with my mother. Okay, but that doesn't mean that I treat women poorly.
You
It
are an
doesn't mean
anomaly.
okay. So that and that is the point that I'm trying to make. There are good men out here who don't have good relationships with their mother or their sisters. The idea that you should base it the picking of a man based off how he treats his mother and the women in his life is not necessarily a good idea because he can lie to you just like he can lie to them or anybody else. So here's what I would say to Miss Ebony K. Williams. If you're worried about finances come and go, right? But quality has nothing to do with the amount of money in someone's bank account. Someone's ambition doesn't determine the type of person that they are. Some people are happy with the lives that they have. If it's being a bus driver, if it's working at Taco Bell, if it's being the CEO of a company. Some people don't need more in order to feel like they're more. To some people, having interpersonal relationships is more important than accumulating stuff. And I get that most people want to live a life of comfort. Most people don't want to struggle. I completely understand that. But as to your point of the higher the man's money is, the harder you're going to have to compete against the other women in that man's level. If you're making 6, 7, 8 figures, you are literally having the pick of the litter. I don't want to say every because nothing's absolute, as you always say, but the majority of women would love to have a man who who could give them financial security. But what comes with that financial security is that man having the ability to exercise his options. And the challenge becomes, can you secure that man to yourself and have him forget all the other options? Can you be the quality that he's looking for? Can you match what you are trying to find in that potential earner? And a lot of the times, these Instagram models and these women that chase after the bag, so to speak, don't realize that the man they want doesn't operate the same way that they think that man should. And I think that's where the huge disconnect comes is that they have this picture of if he's making X amount of dollars, he's going to be this type of man. And then if I can secure that, then my life's going to be peachy keen. When and in reality, they don't know any men on this level. They don't know how these men operate. They don't know what these men think. They don't know the ins and outs of this man's personality. And so they think, oh, well, he's making X amount of dollars. If I can lock that up, then I'm golden. And I don't know if it's just the times that we're living in now, but it seems to me that when people hit a bump in the road, they tend to run, as opposed to back several years ago, where if there was a snag in the relationship, people would work through that. You know, a lot of divorces happen because, oh, I'm just not happy anymore. And it's like, well, that wasn't part of the vow. Happiness had nothing to do with the vow that you made.
First, before I get to the comments, I'm gonna say this to Michelle Nagata. Michelle, looks like I'm gonna have a little fun with you today. I'm about to tear you wide open for the whole world. I'm not in the mood for your bullshit. So,
Here we go.
uh, triggered how? I would like for you to explain yourself. Second of all, she said none of what? She didn't say none of the stuff that I quoted her on from the Breakfast Club interview that I put up in the post. So go ahead and explain yourself. This shit I normally let you do when you pop shot from a distance, not gonna let you do it today. Not on this topic. So explain yourself. Let's see here. First thing out of her mouth. Didn't see the original interview. Get out of here. I don't even know why I read your comments. We gonna scroll through them. Facebook user says she's that girl calling stripping, making money moves. Like okay, exactly. Another Michelle one. We'll skip through that one.
That was Ricky
Jessica.
McLean that said that.
Jessica
She's
Lee
that good.
Taylor said, sounds like her problem. Absolutely, I would agree with that. Going to scroll through another Michelle Nagata one. Roxy Perez says, although I don't agree with her stance and outlook, I would say that the flip side of this is how women's value tends to be tied to how attractive they are. I could be the best mom, most caring person, and have a successful career, but some people will never look past how I look. Unfortunately, some folks don't want to dig deeper, men and women alike. So, first thing I want to do is pause here. Michelle, you
Who
see
said
what
that?
Roxy did there? That was an outstanding way to present your point of view. And guess what? Roxy and I don't always agree. But you know what? Roxy's comments always seem to get read. That might be because she's not always just trying to poke the bear all the time with pure fucking nonsense. Roxy,
Can
let
you
me read
put that
this.
comment up on the wall so I can see it? Because it's
Roxy's?
not in the.
Roxy's?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So it says, Roxy, although I don't agree with her stance and outlook, I would say that the flip side of this is how women's value tends to be tied to how attractive they are. I could be the best mom, most caring person, and have a successful career, but some people will never look past how I look. Unfortunately, some folks don't want to dig deeper, men and women alike. And Roxy, I would completely agree with you. I got friends of mine, good friends of mine, who for the life of them, well, not for the life of them, but because of their own doing, cannot seem to find a good woman. The reason why is because they're looking for a particular type of woman. The one thing that seems to happen that people never ever seem to understand, in my opinion, and Dion, you will have a different opinion. I know this for a fact because I'm gonna go a little religious here. Is because regardless of what you believe in, whether it be God, the universe, or whatever it is, whatever you are putting out, whatever energy you are giving, that is what you are going to receive. So a lot of times, Roxy, even if you are standing in front of a man who should be wanting you, if he's putting out the wrong type of energy, he will never be able to see you because he's not looking for the right things, not in the least, not in the slightest. So a lot of times I find that to be whatever it is you think you like. There was once upon a time in my life where I was dating just nice girls, nice girls, nice girls, but I was still out here in these streets hanging out, having a good time. And I said, man, it'd be cool if I could just find a girl to date who could love sports, want to come out and hang out, have some drinks, watch the game. That way on Sundays or Saturday college basketball, I wouldn't be caught in the middle on do I want to go here, do I got to spend time with her? We could do it together. You know what happened? I found that girl, but that girl ended up being the girl who could outdrink every dude at the fucking bar, who would do shots of vodka before we would leave the house to go to the bar every fucking weekend to go watch games and do it all day, all night long, and then head back out to do it all night. Now, did I think that's what I wanted? Absolutely. Did the universe or whatever it is you want to believe in say, I got something for your ass? Absolutely. And I learned a very, 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 very good lesson, Roxy and Deanna and anyone else that are out there watching. You got to put the right energy out there. But I definitely agree with you. You can have all of the things that any good man will want out of a good woman, and all those other dudes will completely miss it. Deanna, anything you want to touch on with that?
Well, for me, what it boils down to is what are you looking for? You know, Ebony is looking for a certain caliber of man, right? And everybody's allowed to have their preference on what they deem they want in their lives, whether it be a financial or a baddie or whatever, right? At the end of the day, does the person that you end up choosing or vice versa ends up choosing you, do they match what you see yourself with? For Roxy said something really, really important is a women's value is tied to the way they look. Well, that's how men choose women. 9.5 out of 10 men will say, I picked her because I was initially attracted to her. And then when I got to know her, she checked off all these boxes that I have in my head based off childhood experiences and so on and so forth, right? For women, the flip side is that not necessarily, I've seen women with some of the ugliest dudes I know. Fine women, just absolutely gorgeous, could do way better than the man they have. But the reason they're with that man is because they love the way that he treated them. It wasn't necessarily a superficial, this man looks attractive. I don't know any dudes, and I know lots of men, I don't know any dudes who have settled with a woman they didn't deem attractive because she had all these other qualities. It's not even something that pops up on our radar. From a man doesn't look at a woman and go, "Oh, I think she'll be a good mother to my children, and she'll provide a stable home. His first thought is, yo, is she bad? Am I attracted to her? What's it going to be like when I eventually get with her? Now, a man who is more mature in his thought process will learn that just because she look good, everything that glitters ain't gold, right? We learn that the hard men tend to learn that the hard way. Is that everything that glitters ain't gold? It's when you split in half because you married a woman that turns out she didn't have your best interest at heart, and now you in divorce court talking about, man, I thought she loved me, blah 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 blah, and the court system's taking all your money. It's a lesson men learn the hard way. So as a 38 single bachelor, when I meet women, the things I look for are not necessarily their beauty. It's how kind are you on a day-to-day basis. If you're not a kind woman, you stand absolutely zero chance with me. I don't tolerate
Absolutely.
anybody who
Absolutely.
doesn't have kindness as their leading quality. To me, that is the most important thing. Is not whether you got a bunch of money or you're super attractive. Is are you a kind, gentle woman?
And you could see from the get go from her answer that she gave initially in the interview that she was conducting, she's not kind. And then you can see her again double down on it again. And I love that DJ Envy kept bringing it up because I'm sitting there thinking about it too. You keep calling these people or their jobs, however she wanted to put it, because she kept kept flip flopping, mediocre. And you just because you go to the Webster's dictionary and say this is the definition of something does not mean you are not belittling people or what they do for a living. You can't do it. And she continued to double, triple, quadruple down on it.
I think she did not exercise her point eloquently. Her idea was is that she wanted to raise the standard of the average black person in this country. That in order to raise the bar, so to speak, you have to have ownership and financial security. To which I completely understand her point. But the reverse of that is if a man doesn't want to own the company, if he's happy just driving the bus and he still treats you good, why are you throwing that away because he doesn't own the company? And I think that priority of the elevation to reach a certain status is a ridiculous notion in order to live your life, is that you don't have to own the company to be happy and to be successful. People conflate success with monetary value. And to me, that's a dumb way to look at success because you're always going to have to work, even if you are successful, in order to keep stacking those bills, so to speak. Whereas if you're comfortable and you enjoy the life that you live, you have a good family, you have a good support system, you're happy in your day to day, everyday walk around time, then that to me is truly a successful life.
You know, Dion, I know a lot of people in a lot of walks of life, and I don't walk around talking about it, but I do. I know a lot of fucking people, a lot of fucking bank accounts with big bank accounts, and there's one thing I would say: I do not know two people who are married, who are chasing after different goals, who stay together. I know a lot of couples where either the man is the chaser, the one who really wants to push up the ladder, and the wife is she's doing her thing. She's not doing nothing. She's doing her thing, but she's also working that support for him as well. And I know the opposite. Those couples tend. And then I know those couples who neither one of them are chasing the ladder. They're raising their kids. They're making their 50,000 a year. They're taking their vacations on their credit cards. Whatever they're doing, taking their what am I trying to say here? HELOC mortgages out to pay for things, to pay for those people I've seen stay together. I've never seen two alpha people, male and male, or female and female, stay together when they're chasing two different things. I've seen it when they're both alphas and they're chasing after the same thing because they may own a company together. I've seen where that may work. But no, that's really not how the species on this planet works. Whether you're a fucking bunch of chimpanzees or you're human beings.
I mean, I would agree with you. If you're not on the same page, of course, there's going to be strife and friction in the relationship. Again, I always say you should never get into a relationship based off someone's financial position. Like if that is even in your thought process when you're vetting someone, I don't think that you have the, just in my personal opinion, I could be wrong. I don't think someone's finances should qualify or disqualify them from a relationship. If you're dating someone and you truly enjoy spending time with them, what difference does it make what type of money they have? Now, I hear this said all the time that women will only take care of a man for a certain amount of time before that them spending money on a man dries up the vagina. I've heard that my entire life. Where if you flip that, a man will spend money on a woman to keep the vagina wet, right? I don't know how women think about this, but I would never be with a woman if the only reason she was with me is because I could provide her with a certain type of lifestyle. I would much rather be by myself and then
Sir,
just pay for
if I can give
whatever
you,
physical.
let me give you an applause break, sir. Because you walked right into something else I'm going to say. But go ahead, continue. I'm sorry. Go ahead, continue.
I was gonna say I would never be with somebody just because of what I could bring to the table financially. That to me is one of the biggest turn offs. Is if you're really interested in um, this whole boss mentality, and I use air quotes for the people who will be listening on the podcast. To me, it's just a turn off. It says to me that you that is more important than being a good person. And in my eyes, I don't know too many people who strive for the bag and chase work and financial success who have really good personal interpersonal skills. Because being an alpha means you have to, again, I'll repeat it so you can put your hand down. I don't know too many people. I didn't say I didn't know any people. I said I didn't know too many people who chase after a bag and have good interpersonal skills. It just there's is a dynamic that if you're off working all the time, it's going to be hard to maintain that quality relationship that the other person is looking for. And I think that's where people butt heads.
I gave you the applause break because I was sitting here thinking about all the dudes that I know who have bank. And one in particular, not the only one. So I'll take the dude drives a Maybach Mercedes Benz SUV. They only make a handful of those. But if you watched him, if you didn't know that's what he got out of, when he walked into any building, you wouldn't know the dude had money. And I remember talking to him about this. Like, I've seen other cats who handle it money differently where they always floss it. And he said he was taught something by his old man. This is what I talk about. Get on the old head's knee, man. Listen real close every once in a while. He said his father taught him when he was a boy growing up on a farm in Alabama. When you're around people who have money, have money. When you're not around people who don't have any money, don't have any money. And so, simply put, he and most people who are confident in themselves do not need to walk around flashing money, nor do they want people who are obsessing about their money and making choices to pick them because they have said money. So, going back to what I said, you are better off finding someone of good character. And if you find something great in that box of cereal, awesome. If you don't, then make yourself some toast and have a hearty fucking breakfast. Because that's all you're going to fucking get.
If I could push the applause button right there, I would. That was a great analogy. Have a hearty fucking breakfast.
Hey, you don't need to be able to push it. You know the guy who can. So, yeah, I saw you smirking and smiling over there like you was reading something. So read what you read over there.
No, I just it's Michelle Nagata says, sorry, I think your take is trash and you didn't pay attention to her explanation. It was smart, well spoken, and honest. But yeah, she's just a hoe. And all your explanations and yelling doesn't change that what she said triggered you and you're putting your own feelings onto it. You aren't being objective at all. She says, I talk how I talk. I'm not going to change it to not offend you. If you're going to yell into the abyss, people are allowed to react. How dare someone come in with a fact?
First of all, you didn't have facts because you said I was projecting. And there's nothing for me to project. Everything I said to you, first of all, this is not the news, as I said 2 weeks ago. So anything I say on this show It's based off facts that I saw that I'm giving you my opinion on said facts. I will also, because I do my homework, Michelle, go back and Dion would tell you, I do it up sometimes up to the show is starting. I go back and I watch what I've already watched. I go back and I read what I've already read and I jot down my notes. If you've ever noticed, Michelle, because you watch the show and you seem to be the expert and not me, you will see me glance to this way. You see how I do that, Michelle? Because there's sometimes after I've read it and I try to memorize what I can, I want to go back and I want to check and make sure that what I wrote down is still accurate so that I am not just speaking nonsense. Do not tell me what I said is not what she said. If you would like, we can all have a watch party and we can sit down. Nothing gives me more pleasure
Join the
than pointing
Patreon.
out your faults. I love it. And normally I let it ride, but not today. Because what you wanted to do was to attack me. And what you've always done since the start of the show, which I think is kind of fun, is attack because you like to see this, that, and the other. And normally I just ignore you. But today I felt like I might as well dig in that ass. Now, if you can't handle getting back what you ask for every single Monday, that sounds like a you problem. Because as I said before, somehow you are the only one who seems to get this treatment all the time. Not Roxy, not Miss Susie, I'm missing names here.
Jessica,
Not
Kathleen.
Jessica, not Shandis, not Chuck, no one else. So is it a me problem really? Or is it a you thing?
I also thought Danielle Marie came back with a nice comment. She said, I don't think he is, but I just wanted to tell you that it is hilarious and I totally want to work into a random conversation now about Sydney projecting. Chelsea had a good comment too. She said, I'm going to find me a homeless man. I'll be his home.
Hey man.
Good luck with that one, Chelsea.
Hey, look, all I'm saying is she has the wrong take, and that is the wrong take that a lot of women, young women, are taking these days. And I've had these conversations. I hear these conversations. You can see them on IG all the time because these girls think it's cute. And I'll say it again. It's because nobody is sitting them down and saying, this is not the things that are important.
I think we have to also look at the fact that you kind of brought this up earlier, that the caliber of man that you're looking for, what are his options? Because any man who has options is going to exercise them. That's part of what being a man is. Now, is it rare that a man who has a ton of options won't exercise them? Yes. Not every single man will be out here just getting what he can get when he can get it. But the vast majority of 6, 7, 8 figure earners are gonna have a side piece somehow, some way. I always tell women, if Beyonce can get cheated on by Jay-Z, what chance do you have with Joe Schmo from Kokomo? You really don't. And so your best bet is to, yes, get the best man that you can, but you have to understand that, especially now in 2023, back in the 50s and 60s, you could have a side piece, that lived couple blocks away. And you'd have siblings that you didn't know about till the funeral. Nowadays, everything's on the internet, everything's on a camera phone, so you're gonna know about it. How you choose to operate is how you choose to operate. There are good quality men out here that are completely overlooked because they don't have a bag. Now, if you want a man who's gonna honor you and cherish you, there's a pretty good chance that he's not going to be on your financial level because that's just how the way of the world works. You watch the Fresh and Fit podcast, Kevin Samuels podcast, and all these other podcasts that talk about interracial, or not interracial, but interrelationship dynamics. And they always talk about high earning men tend to not be faithful. I'm not a high earning man. I don't have 6 figures in the bank. So I can't really speak to that. But what I can tell you is that if a successful man who's worked hard to achieve a financial status in this world feels like I went out and earned all this money, can't nobody tell me nothing. What makes you think that you coming into his life is going to be able to somehow flip the switch, change his mind, and get him to recognize you as the only woman in the world? That whole thought process to me is ridiculous. If anything, you should be helping pick side chicks that you can get along with so that you don't have to deal with the heartbreak at the end of the day when you come to look through this man's phone because he, for whatever reason, because that's just the reality of the world. I'm not saying every man's like that, but a vast majority of them are.
Look, I know women, men. I know women who have some bread, and women who have some bread are just like a lot of dudes who have some bread. They understand they have a lot of different options. They don't have to settle. They can move how they want to move for the most part. And a lot of times, though, Dion, I would say this: unless you were the woman with that man helping him come up to reach those goals, good luck to you. Good luck to you. Because if you
Even
come,
then, even
you have
then,
a
when you,
you have a better shot.
well, here's the thing though, when a man elevates, right, and he gets new options,
All I say was you got a
it's
better
in
shot.
it's in his nature to exit. This is a perfect analogy that they did on the Fresh and Fit podcast. I don't always agree with the way they say things, but what they say just tends to be more accurate. And basically, it was like this: women grow up in the candy store, right? From the time they get breasts and ass, 13, 14 years old, men are throwing sex at them for their entire lives, right? A man starts off with nothing and he has to build, right? He doesn't have access to the candy shop, right? And so when he gets to a certain level, he finally gets into the candy store and he can pick whatever piece of candy he wants. Now, the women in that candy store watch him eat all this candy and go, "Why are you doing that?" Not realizing that he's been outside of the candy store the entire time, hoping to one day get in that candy store and find him a piece of candy that he really likes. And so you got to understand that if you're dealing with a man who hasn't had options and then all of a sudden he gets options, you can't be like, "Oh, how could you do this? I've helped you build all this." That's just the way the world has always worked. Men have had more than one woman. Monogamy is a newer tradition in the world where, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. There's open relationships, there's polyamory, there's all types of situations out there. If you're dealing with a high earning man, chances are you're not going to be the only one. And you have to find a way to either make peace with that or just keep going through that revolving door, because truth be told, those guys for whatever reason don't feel the need to settle down until they're much older.
John, any other comments we want to touch on here before we move on?
I mean, you've got some of the women in the group upset. um,
Who else is upset?
Susie Myers says, "Dion, it's kindness and her ability to pay for her own dinner." Yes, that is true.
I
Uh,
don't have anybody upset there. She's talking to you.
First dates, I don't get finessed out of my cash.
Miss Susie gets an applause break for that. Not only does she listen to the show, I think she's got a plethora of notes she's been
I mean,
keeping a dossier.
if you look at it on a practical level, it makes sense. If you're just now starting to get to know someone, why am I spending my money on the chance that you could eat my food and then leave me? Fuck out of here. I'm not an idiot. Even if I had the cash to spend to
Wait a minute.
splurge, I'm
I've
not finna do that.
I've always paid for the first date. That'd make me an idiot.
It is if she don't plan on going on a second date.
You don't know that. Maybe I don't want to go on a second date. I've gone on dates where I
All
was
the
not
more
happy
reason to
doing.
keep all your money in your
No,
pocket.
no. I've been on dates where I knew halfway through the date they're like this ain't. But you know
Me
we
too.
here. Let's go
I've
ahead
been
and
on
eat
dates.
and chill out.
I've been on dates where I'm like, yeah, I will never see this woman ever again in my life. But guess what? I didn't have to pay for her half of the bill.
So, nothing lost. I got you. All right. Any more comments, sir? Where someone's taking you to task?
Let's see here. Danielle Marie says, hold on. Let me see. Danae Turner says, "Fact is, you made every woman listening feel like kicking your ass." She's talking to you, Sydney.
There are some women who agree
Danielle
with me, Danae.
Danielle says, "Please don't presume to speak for every woman in here." Hashtag Team Sid told the truth.
Thank you.
Michelle Nagata says, "I guess only the ones who don't subscribe to misogyny." Now, again, What is misogyn?
I was,
What does hating women have
was,
to do with
says
anything,
nothing,
Michelle? That
none
doesn't
of
even make
this.
any sense.
None of this.
The idea that because a man has a certain standard and he wants to have his preferences, all of a sudden he hates all women is ridiculous. I cannot stand when women say, "Oh, you're misogynistic because you feel like you could have two women." Like, what is misogynistic about? How is that any different from you wanting a man who's over 6 feet tall and is in shape? How is that any different?
Yeah, here's what I love. Here's a show that we've done for 3 years now, whatever it's been. We've had the majority of our viewers have been women. We've done nothing but show love to them, and they've shown love back. There's been open communication. Anyone who has ever had anything derogatory to say about or out of bounds, however you want to call it, about women, you get you're X'd. Your comments don't make it to the wall. You're kicked out the group. You're not allowed to watch all of that. And now all of a sudden, I'm a misogynist. All of a sudden now, I've been just laying in wait, waiting for Ebony K. Williams to just to say something to say, now I got you. Come on, Michelle. Be better than that. Have a take, don't suck, as Jim Rome would say. And if you had a take and you didn't suck, I wouldn't jump your shit. But this again is Michelle always wanting to throw the fire, but never wanting any heat or smoke, as the kids say. So that's all this is. Misogynist. Come on, man. Come on. Any other comments, sir? I'm letting you read them because I'm a little amped up and I can't scroll through them without
Well, I only see
jumping
the
on
ones that
particular
are
people.
in the group. So if you
It's
can
good
see
enough.
something that I
It's good
can't
enough.
see,
Whatever you can see is good enough for me.
Ricky McLean says, "I don't think Michelle could handle the heat. I think she going y'all stuck with me though." Ricky, you got to type better if you're gonna.
He got fat thumbs, man.
Um,
He
uh,
can't peel an orange.
Jessica says, "Okay, Sydney, I know many couples that have different dreams, personal goals. They support each other. I think it's healthy to keep that sense of self in a relationship." Michelle says, "Bottom line, I think
I
it's
agree,
totally
Jessica.
fair to expect you partner to grow and evolve with you financially, mentally, educationally." Uh, I, this is my own personal thing for everybody who's watching the show. When you type in comments, please proofread that shit. Y'all got me out here looking like I don't know how to read because y'all can't type,
How you
and
like it?
I don't
How
like
you
that.
like it?
I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
Like
So
look
please
like
proofread your comments.
I be looking like the kid we all went to school with that had to read with his finger on the page.
I is good.
I is kind. I is
Is
smart. Even though I'm a misogynist, I want to thank all the ladies for jumping in and watching the show. I do
no, that's crap, man. Stop.
appreciate
No,
y'all.
women use that word way too much. I Michelle, you are out of pocket for calling Sydney a misogynist because he's not. It's just that's just not accurate.
I talked
You
about how
might
much.
disagree with his point of view on how he received that woman's message and what he felt, but throwing that label around is ridiculous.
Hey man, some people just can't do enough for. I show my love for my wife for this show. I show love for my mother on this show. I show love for the women on this show. We talk about anything under the sun that you guys want to talk about, even if it's geared towards females more often than men. And you can't do enough for some folks.
I'm not gonna get triggered by it, but it does. It really grinds my gears when I hear, "Oh, you don't like women because you have a different point of view." I'm like, no. What can we pump our brakes here? Can we let's have a legitimate conversation without throwing around these cancel words as they call them? Because calling a man a misogynist is a big fucking deal. To assume that a man hates women because he didn't agree with what a woman said on a podcast is ridiculous. It's
Or,
just
or
ridiculous.
or because I didn't agree with what she said, because I don't agree with you. All right. Dion, what is your what the hell this week?
Uh, it, what it's changed. What the hell is up with calling a man misogynist because you didn't like what he had? Like what the hell is that? Don't do that. That is to me. If the roles were reversed and women had consequences for those type of labels being put on them, it's just like labeling a woman a hoe because she dresses slutty but she don't fuck nobody. It's like, why are you doing that? You don't have to do that. You can disagree with Sydney without labeling him a misogynist. I just, to me, that term is up there with certain words where when I hear them, it makes me want to be like, "Ooh, you really don't know what you're doing. That's not healthy. That's not a good idea." And that triggered me. So just be careful of what you say to people and how you say it is important. Michelle, you watch the show. Sometimes you and I agree. Sometimes you and I disagree. But this is one of those times where I'm specifically talking to you. That is not cool. Don't do that. Don't do that.
All right. Well, I don't have a what the hell this week. I'm just going to say thank you to all the ladies and to all the men who watch the show each and every week. We do appreciate you. I'm going to make some changes for the show going forward, though. So thank you guys very much. Changes won't affect everyone, but they're coming. Have yourselves a good week, and God bless.